Hello, my spiritual rebels out there. I am woman. Um, so a lot has transpired in the last few days, and I had to take some time off and process it all. This again, for those of you, I just want to say first and foremost, thank you for your presence. I am deeply honored. For my presence speaks for itself. Um, so, in this awakening journal that I am making, whew, yeah. Uh, so, the last video I has made has been processing this aspect of myself. I call Cheska with deep love. Um, if you come in from that video, you know what happened. If you do not, you have to go watch it, because I cannot keep, it's a whole process. So in addressing this energy of entitlement and in setting up boundaries, you know, that energetically, it's a statement to Mother Cosmos, to your heart, that you have outgrown this energy. And as you have outgrown this energy, what happens is that the veil gets lifted. And as the veils got lifted for me, what has come up it wasn't quite a little scary. So I'm gonna go through it. So you will get a sense of how to navigate this step for yourself, right? So as those veils got lifted, I got pulled back into my childhood and to revisit um, judgments I have made on my father, right? So I got to see how I felt entitled to my dad's sacred space, right? I have made judgment onto him, blamed him for the suicide of my mom, right? Um, that was a hard revelation because in navigating my own marriage, right, and seeing how in getting threatened, in making decisions for yourself, right? I was coming from a place of being wounded when I went into this marriage, this relationship, right? I was running away from my twin flame, Derek, looking for love, and from a controlling, right? I was looking for love from a controlling state of mind, right? And if you have been watching the prior videos, you know what I'm talking about. So in seeing that, as I have found myself there, right, I have faced that controlling energy in witnessing my husband threatening his life and self-harming himself, right? And in my childhood, right, this is what happened. My parents were fighting all the time, and my mom would do certain things, and eventually led to her suicide, in burning herself alive when I was 9. So as I made that judgment on my dad, blaming him for the suicide of my mom, right? The contrast, I have set up my path, right? My heart has taken me to show me the reality, right? And that reality is that you are not responsible for anybody's choice and anybody's life. That's between them and their heart, right? So my marriage was a testament to that, because as John felt entitled into my sacred space, in trying to control me, right, he would threaten his life, which used to trigger the suicide of my mom. And in presenting those two aspects to me, right, in confronting the energy of entitlement to my sister, right, Cheska, the veil was lifted, and I was able to see through my own experiences what my dad has endured and the judgment I have imposed on him by feeling entitled to make that decision with my limited perspective, right, based on what was imposed on me. I got to build contrast, right, to let that go. And that was a hard revelation because even in my case, John never got to commit the suicide, right? So in my dad's case, my mom did. So for him, it was even harder, and he needed more love in his life to support him, to surround him. And I was not able to give it, right? Because of how this hurt in his life, this experience has affected him. So it transpired in what I have shared with you, and I will expand on that further. So that was a very scary revelation, right? It's like, as I couldn't overcome that energy in the past, every time it presented itself, right? Because it presented itself through my sister Cheska. And it's only the third time as that pattern repeated itself that I was able to overcome it, right? And as I overcome it, it was revealed to me, right? Because this is what happened. Your traumas, things that have affected you and overwhelmed you, you hide them into people around you by blaming them, by condemning them, right? But all you're doing is condemning yourself and hiding from yourself, right? Because there's nobody else. It's all a projection of yourself, all of it. Every time someone is talking, they're only talking about themselves. And you have to give them the space to do so, because that's the only way to look at yourself, right? You're giving them the opportunity of facing their heart, right? The imposition and energies they impose on themselves, right? And it takes practice. It takes a lot of suffering to get to this stage, because you get to confront the creations that you have invested in your whole life, right? Or that you were born in, but you couldn't overcome. So in facing that was very scary about my dad. And I had to take a few days and just take a step back, right? And in facing that, right, you have to do it from a place of compassion and a place of love for yourself, because that's the key. That's the key. And in addressing this energy to my sister Cheska with compassion, love, and truth, right? This is it. You cannot hide from yourself. However you have dealt with that energy, right, towards your reflection, is however you will be dealt with when you face how you yourself has imposed that energy on yourself, right? So it's very tricky. There's no pretending. If you do not approach it from a place of compassion, truth, and set boundaries for yourself, you're going to face it no matter what, right? It's what we call expansion. This is what we call growth, right? So the intention in my childhood in judging my dad has never been to hurt him, right? The intention was just, protecting myself and protecting my heart, right? Based on my limited perspective of the world, based on teachings that my own dad has provided me and surrounded me with, right? So your children are a reflection of your inner child, right? Your inner child is your imagination. If you have several children, whether they are boys or girls, they reflect the feminine or masculine version of your inner child, right? So, however you deal with your children is a reflection of however you deal with your inner child, right? Your imagination, your creation, right? So, I will expand on that later. So, after, right, because the intention is what you face. So, as my intention was pure, right, although it was overwhelming to see how I harbored that energy because I have not outgrown it yet in facing my sister Cheska, for which I'm very grateful. You know, I am grateful. You know, nothing is set against you. Everything is always working out for you. You know, be careful projections you're making around people you claim to love. Okay, so it's very important. Always, there's only love, and you have to navigate everything from that perspective. This is why learning to shut the fuck up is very important. Okay, you have to learn to shut the fuck up and listen to what the person is saying and how it's making you feel. You know, are you feeling loved? Are you feeling supported? Are you feeling validated? You know, because nobody can step into your light but you, right? Nobody can challenge your light but you. Okay, so everything is always done with your own approval. All right, so if you're stepping into your light and you're waiting for people to confirm that for you, okay, that's an expansion for growth. You only answer to the authority of your heart. There's only love, right? If you keep projecting and waiting for someone on the outside to recognize what you're feeling inside and the conversation you have built and the connection you have built within your own heart and the conversation you are having, if you need an external validation for that, then there's still growth and expression that needs to be applied to that area, right? So as I have faced that, how I that energy of entitlement, right? I have faced it in I harbored and nurtured it in my childhood towards judgment I made towards my dad and towards my mom, right? I always felt like my mom was weak, too emotional, right? She depended on my dad. She needed the love. She craved for his attention and his approval. And yeah, it led her to her suicide. So I also have made a judgment on that in a sense that I never wanted to be that. I never wanted to get to the point where I commit suicide just because the man didn't love me, right? That was the biggest fear for me. And in facing all of that, I was brought to Derek, right? So I had to face how I also felt entitled into his sacred space, right? Because in leaving Benin, you have to go watch my video about my sexual abuse, because that's when I hid my heart away, you know, in Derek, right? So I had to face the fact that in breaking up with this person, right, I felt entitled, right, in his sacred space. I broke up with him because there was a lot of rumor about him fucking around. And, you know, and I also saw behaviors that didn't add up. But in returning to Benin, I just stepped in. I was like, yeah, I came back after a year. Yes, I wrote letters. He didn't respond. But I did let this person go. So I came back and just out of nowhere felt entitled and just felt like, yeah, because I got sexually abused and my space felt violated by my dad. I expressed this violation by violating his sacred space. This guy has moved on, you know, he was dating. And it's in honoring me, right? It's because he has this love himself towards me. It's in honoring me that he kept me on the roof. You know, I felt entitled. You know, I'm the love. I'm a love being. I know, I see that he loves me. So, you know, I came and I was like, yes, fine, I'm stepping back in. And that's when I got slapped hard with Mother Cosmos stick, right? It's like, yeah, that's not how it works. And that is done on purpose because it's just and it's just Mother Cosmos guiding you. There's contrast to be built, right? And after, even in my divorce, right, in getting out of my divorce, the way I have approached it was to just call Derek after 15 years, you know. And I will get to that because this is it. I felt entitled, right? This guy had a girlfriend, you know, he had kids, and I just came and I'm like, yes, I need to get out of my marriage, so I'm gonna go in. I know he loves me, and I'm gonna destroy everything, and because I need to get out, right? That's entitlement. So I had to face that, and in facing that and sitting in meditation, there's been resistance because this is after this there's nothing to hide. So it's been a little hard. I have faced, you see, awakening is not a final destination. It's a process. It's an evolving thing. You know, you keep going and you keep blossoming, and it's like, ooh, oh, wow. You know? So in sitting in meditation, what has come up is for me to share the insight into my reconnection with Derek. Yeah. Um, I don't know how long this video might be a few, as you know. It might cut or be in several parts. We're gonna take it as it comes, okay? So, as I said, I have encountered some resistance in sharing this. I'm not sure, you know, I have to do it because this is the trust. When you're told to do something, there's no more doubting, there's no more questioning. You have to step in, right? You're at your own time, right? You have to get there and trust. This is what we call faith, right? So here goes. Okay, so you already know, because the first part of stepping into my light was to read my journey with my ex-husband John. So on December 9, 2019, when I sat with John and I was like, okay, I cannot do this anymore. No matter what, next year I'll get my divorce. And he was like, no, you have to give me a chance. We got into a fight, right? And you have to go read the letter, because at that point, you know, we got into a bad fight, and in getting out of it, I was like, he wrestled me. This guy, he wrestled me to the floor. He wrestled me to the floor. You know, we got in an argument, and usually in argument, what happens is, like, I like to shut the fuck up because I feel, you know, fears coming up, and I like to just go into the bedroom and meditate. That's all I do, you know. So once we start arguing, and I see something surfacing within me, I'm just like, I'm just gonna go shut down and go meditate in the bedroom. That's it. I don't talk. I when I'm quiet, that's when you need to start worrying. So, you know, so he has this tendency of blocking me, right? You know, when I want to shut down and go into meditation and figure out and face my fear, you know, because it's not about anybody else, it's about me, right? And I started to understand that, right? Um, so when I want to shut down, he'll block me with his body. He'll be like, "No, you cannot go meditate. You need to you need to forgive me, or we need to talk. You need to give me a chance." And I'll be like, I'm not even listening to you. There's something else that's stepping in. I need to go. I need to shut down. And in blocking me, right, that's it. You know, I didn't know. I haven't faced my shadows then. So when these things stepped in, he was yeah. So when Party Pooper Jen, which was the name of my shadow then, you know, I call her Party Pooper Jen. So when she stepped in, you know, we got physical. And yeah, so I would try to fight my way to the bedroom. So in that December 2019, my husband, you know, he wrestled me. He wrestled me to the ground and he was like, "You're going to apologize? You're going to tell me that you are sorry?" And he sat on me. He's a big guy. He's a big guy. He sat on me and he pushed me down. He was pushing against the rail of the staircase and made sure, you know, I could breathe. I couldn't get up. And he was like, "All you have to do is tap out." You know, like the wrestlers. He's like, "Tap out," you know, and I would get up. I was like, "I'm not going to tap out, you know, but you're going to get up." I was, because one of the jokes my husband, he was trying, it triggered me, right? Because he was trying to show me that he's the man, he's the powerful one, he's the strong one. I don't get to tell him and to tell him and to leave him, you know, I will stay and he will control it. So this is my childhood, right? We were projecting our traumas onto each other. So he was like, "You're not gonna get up." And I got up. Yeah, I couldn't breathe. I felt like I almost died in that moment. I was suffocating. And suffocating, I want you to hold on to that, right? But again, when my spirit animals step in, there's nothing to do. So I got the fuck up. I didn't tap out, and I told him, "This is the last time. That's it. I'm gonna get that divorce whether you want it or not." And when I start talking like this, no matter what, it's happening, right? So as I told him that, he started saying he was sorry, that I need to forgive him. This is the same pattern we've been having for like this whole fucking 15 years. But I was fed up. Something was starting to step in and I couldn't hold, this is what I'm saying. You have to go with it. So we sat down and, you know, he was apologetic, and sometimes he even writes letter and he says what I want to hear, right? And start talking about love and he's sorry. And I get it, right? Because I did observe that he was under just like me, right? He was a reflection of this old version of myself, right? That showed the type of control I imposed on my own environment because I was afraid to love again, right? Yeah, that was a powerful discovery. So as I had this, after this event, right, I sat with John and I was like, "This is it for me. I'm done. You know, I will do whatever I have to do. I will sleep with someone else and you will let me go." And he started laughing. He was like, "No, Jen, it's not fair. You know, we have to go to couples therapy." I'm like, "There's not even going to couples therapy. What is that?" I spoke truth. I'm telling you, I have been telling you for 15 years the truth. I'm not in love. Okay, your masturbation and your threat of suicide somehow are triggering me, and I need to figure out what is happening. Right? I need to deal with myself, and there's too much noise around here. I need quiet. It's like, again, this is the same pattern. Why do you need quiet? Okay, you don't work, you stay at home, and blah blah blah. Either way, I was like, I'm getting out no matter what you do, right? And it is then, as we kept talking and he kept apologizing, I was like, fine, I'll go to couples therapy, but I will not lift a finger. You, if you want to go to couples therapy, you find the therapist, you take action, you do what you feel like you have to do to fix this relationship, right? The way you want. Go for it. In exchange, I want an option to sleep with someone else, right? So he started laughing. He was like, you can't even stand men. You are afraid of men. You want to sleep with someone else, because this has been our conversation. I'm like, there's something else out there, I quit my job, and I will expand on that later, because I was like, I have to love what I do, right? And it got in a big argument, right? Because I was making big bucks. I was 6-figure. Even my job didn't want to let me go. Okay, they kept telling me, you don't even have to come, we'll pay you your salary. I was like, I couldn't. So I just walked out and mailed in my BlackBerry. And my husband and I, John, my ex-husband, old version of myself, okay, not have to affirm that it's not my husband. Yeah, so the old version of myself being reflected to my husband John, we got into this huge argument because I navigated my career on my own, right? And I didn't need anybody. Anyway, we will expand that. That's not the point, right? So I have to go with this. I've been told not to expand on that at this moment, so I'm going to continue. Yeah, so I wanted to find a job that I love. I started talking about I made a mistake at a point in our relationship. I was like, I'm not in love. I feel like there's more out there. I'm waking up in agony, resentment. I haven't kissed him in years. I don't even want him to touch me. I wake up every morning being like, don't touch me, screaming, So it's like something was happening. And I was like, we can hide from this. You can be giving your wife black eyes and say that you love her, right? There's something wrong with it. And he will be like, yeah, but you started it. Okay. And yet I'm the one living with the black eye. Okay. But this is not love. This is, And for him, he was like, yes, but you have to stick around because when we retire, and we have millions of dollars, okay? We have enough savings. We'll be able to relax enough to fall in love. So I was like, you want me to keep going like this until I'm in my 60s or 70s, and then I'll be able to... No, that's not how it works. But it was hard to explain this because I was starting to discover things about energy. Things were happening. And that's when my ayahuasca experience, I had even forgotten about it. I told everybody, all of them knew what has happened to me 6 years prior. I shared it with everybody who wanted to hear it because it was the most exciting things. It was a validation within me. Anyway, so I told my husband I want the option to sleep with someone, okay? I won't tell him about it, but I just want that option. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I've been with him for 15 years. I wanna know if there's something else out there for me. And if there isn't, I'll come back. There won't be any more complaining. I will commit to the relationship for good. That was my promise. I was like, if there's nothing out there for me and I do sleep with someone, if there's no love, then no more complaining. I will stay in the marriage and I will never talk about divorce again. So as he heard that, he was like, fine, you do it. He was laughing. He was like, Jen, sure. Go. You want to sleep with someone? Who are you going to sleep with? And I was like, I don't know. You're going to sleep with one of the fathers? I'm like, It's not gonna be someone who's around us. I'm gonna choose someone I'm comfortable, And he was laughing. He felt like I was joking, and I was like, eh. So as soon as he said, okay, it's so beautiful. This is where we miss those little blessings. Because as soon as he said yes, what has happened is that I used to have dreams. The year before. Dreams were happening often where I'll find myself back in Benin in high school looking for Derek, and I couldn't find him, you know. It was very weird, and I'll go to his house in Benin and I'm like asking, where's Derek, and I couldn't find him. So I'll wake up every day, every morning, and I'll forget about that dream, you see. So as soon as John said yes to me sleeping with someone else, those dreams were revealed to me, because my ego was blocking it, because I did not want to go to Derek. The hurt was still there. The wound was very deep. So unconsciously, I've buried this person very deep. And it's very interesting because when I married John, when I proposed to John and he said yes, the first person I called to inform was Derek. I called him. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting married to John. And, I was hoping, I don't know why I did this, but, I do know why. I was hoping that he would say, no, I want to marry you, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't. He was actually very happy for me, which broke my heart even deeper. I was like, yes, I guess I was right. This guy never loved me. And actually, that was my perception. This is where doubt was introduced, right? After that event, my sexual abuse at 19, I cut everything with Derek because I felt like my heart something was wrong, because I saw this thing and I was sure about it. But it didn't taste good. I was like very scared. I was hurt. I was frightened by what he was showing me about what he does with women. Yeah. So after my marriage, and there were times even when, even after that event, when I left Benin at 19, I stayed friend with Derek. I stayed friend with him. We talked, and at a point he even tried to come and visit me in New York and spend time with me. And I was, it